Hey everyone, it's Cage Taylor from The Nocturnal.
Hi, everybody.
Cage Taylor Jones. That is a powerful name, sister.
Thank you.
Powerful.
Hello.
10 seasons in, our favorite first responders of Chicago Firehouse 51 are getting ready for their 200th episode. We've got some of the cast here. They're ready to spill some set secrets, share their favorite moments leading up to this 200th episode, and give thanks to fans who've been there since the beginning in 2012.
I've gotten older and more fragile, slower rising.
Old and fragile.
Yeah, he was already old and fragile when he got here. So he's basically popsicle sticks put together by candy corn. Like it's a pretty rough situation. Yeah, I was kind of a newbie when I came to this show. So this is the singular most kind of life-changing experience of my life.
Joe was a Chicago theater veteran when he came to this show. He was not wet from birth.
Yes, true. My mother did dry me off with a very absorbent towel, but
Joseph, go forward, Joe.
But in terms of television, and so it's like I would say the biggest change is I feel comfortable on a film set or a television set now. Like it's like having been on the stage for like 10 years, it's a very different animal. And it's just now it feels slightly easier unless I'm with David, and then it's way harder. But
Yeah,
ultimately,
I think that's a really good point. I think a lot of what hinders actors when they first start doing on-camera work is it's a fear-based thing. It's and therefore their attention kind of goes inward. Am I screwing up? Am I doing this right? And that's, you can't be like that. It only hurts to be that concerned about it. So reaching that level of comfort where it's no longer, the novelty is long gone, and you're just coming to work and everything about the environment at work is completely familiar to you. And as long as, like he says, as long as you're not working with David, it makes it a lot easier to get through a day's work and to focus on what you should be focused on in an actor, which is, as an actor, which is what is real in this scene. What does my character care about in this scene? That's what I need to be focused on.
Yeah. And the gravity that I bring to the set just anchors everybody.
that's a word. You are definitely an anchor. Let's just put it like that.
You hear David a couple rooms away when you're on set. So you know, I mean, there's a little bit of a heads up, he's headed this way. That's the beauty of it. He's so bloody noisy that he cannot slip stealthily into your environment.
Well, you know I'm coming. You know I'm coming, baby.
Oh my God. Next question, please.
I think the show, it's constantly always trying to aid and abet the moving forward of the human condition. And that's what comes from our first responders in real life that we work with. It's always about how can we help? And I think the show, you know, is always been amongst the actors, how can we help? And there is, you know, we have a beautiful day almost every single day, 10 years later, where we laugh really hard. I think someone was crying from tears the other day. I don't remember who, but our rapport amongst each other and the concern that we have for each other. And that comes to then the storytelling on top of that is always about helping people. What can we do to bring compassion, understanding, and life back to, you know, Chicago, also, you know, the world. And I hopefully that's what transfers to the audience.
And I think Derek Haas is tuned into what I think the nature of what your question is, which is that the 200th episode should be significant as sort of a landmark episode. And there are little sort of callbacks. Most of what, I can't give examples because most of them are framed around something that I can't talk about yet. but I think if you've been a long time viewer of the show, you will notice some details that'll touch you, I think.
I think a lot about the tag that's on every rig or truck, or that up for the CFD, which says we're there when you need us. And I think that's sort of the kind of overarching arc of the show. I think David's absolutely right. This idea of how can we help? And I think if we're talking about the legacy of the show, I think that motto of we're there when you need us has permeated through every arc, in every episode. And I think in a big way, in a big kind of stirring way for one specific character, indeed, that is like exactly what happens. It's like they go through a
Yes.
moment where they are so needed that it really kind of pushes forward the storyline in a really amazing way.
That's a great point, Joe. And it also sheds light on a different facet of we're there when you need us, and that sometimes that costs you something that
Yeah.
you don't expect to have to pay.
Yeah. Pay dearly. There are a lot of them for me. One is early on when we had a prison. Somebody got hurt in a prison, and we had to save somebody in a prison. And we were at Cook County Jail, and we had a hostage. Huh?
Season finale, season 1.
Okay, there you go. And Herman's character, or the character of Herman, his wife was having a baby, and he was trying to get out, and he got to go. Finally got out and got to, there was some complications with the birthing, and nervousness and scared. And is everybody going to be okay? And then to end up, as we've done quite a few times, but to me was everybody coming into the room with Herman's wife holding the baby. And for some reason I wanted to say Spawn. And then all the cast members coming in. And it's kind of been an equation that we've always had on the show, is we're all there for each other, and we don't even have that miserable character that's trying to sink everybody. We have them come in from time to time, and we have to thwart them, or Chief Bowden has to save us from them. But there's always, that was a beautiful episode that I thought really stayed with me.
Yeah, losing Otis, which is really kind of 2 episodes. It was the end of 7 and beginning of 9, I think, or beginning of 8. That one was difficult, not only as an actor to kind of make yourself go to that space, but also personally. He's one of my very best friends. Our very first day of training for this show was together, and we were the only 2 because we were the last 2 cast. So everybody had actually already gone through all of the training and stuff, and me and Yuri came in together as the last 2 on the show. And so, 8 years later, to have to let go of a man that stood up at my wedding, because he means that much to me, was really, really difficult. But it was a great opportunity as a performer to be able to kind of dive into something like that, and to still be diving into it. Like, it still manifests itself in a lot of different ways, some of which you'll get to experience in the 200th episode.
Well, both of my daughters have been on the show. My older daughter played my biological daughter in there was a storyline where there was an information leak, and I was a sperm donor father, that type of thing. And my youngest daughter was, I think, the first person rescued in the pilot episode. David and Jesse, she's now a freshman at Arizona State, but she was small enough that Jesse handed her off to David after they crawled out of a residential fire. I think there's one that comes to mind for me. There was an episode about a letter, a postage truck got into an accident, and a bunch of mail was damaged, including a letter to somebody where the address was obscured. And Mouch went to great lengths, to great trouble, to see that letter got where it was intended to go. And the payoff was very emotional. But I liked it because it didn't have anything to do with being a hero or sacrificing your life for another or anything like that. It just suggested a difference in values from the younger people, and I know it's sort of a broad sweeping generalization, but I think they made a good point with it, which was this used to matter. This kind of thing used to matter, and to some of us it still does. I thought it was a very touching storyline. Yeah, I don't know that it's how are we going to pull this off. We just can't wait to dig into it. If it's a funny storyline, we don't worry about how we're going to pull it off. We let them worry about the editing part of it, and we dig into it. We love that stuff.
I will say there was one where I sort of had that feeling. I was like, what? How does this pan out? And I was really pissed off because I wasn't part of the storyline. And that was the whole like ping pong match thing that was just hilarious. And to this day, I'm like upset that I wasn't a part of it.
That was one of my favorites.
Watching that, I laughed so hard. It was so good when
Christian hitting the glass.
yeah,
That was
that
amazing.
I got to eat some glass.
was so funny.
High five.
Yeah.
You guys were great.